Let me start with a story that was very popular on Twitter, and that's a good starting point for what we're going to discuss, and about what you have encountered and your schools must have encountered on numerous occasions. This is Twitter. The 23rd of May, this is when I did this print screen. This young boy disappeared in Manchester during the terrorist attack. It was his mother or his father writing that his son was in Manchester Arena. He doesn't pick up the phone. Please help. When I did this print screen, and that was several hours after this post was put on Twitter, more than 20,000 people passed it on and 9,000 likes. It was a moving picture, moving post. Everybody's looking for the boy, but you don't need to do a lot of work to see that it's a very strange profile. The profile is called Gamergate Antifa. So, see what happened a while later.
Some people propagated a certain rumor claiming that I was a victim in the attack in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert. I'm just making this video to let you know that I am indeed alive, well, and okay here in the United States, not the UK. And this unfortunately was just an effort done by various trolls and website users, certain website users, just to try to mislead the general public with fake news and just to try to get some laughs out of it. So I am unharmed, uninjured, I'm safe and well, and really my heart and condolences go out to all those affected by the attack. Thank you all, just wanted to clear that up, and take care.
This is a phenomenon that is very often encountered in media, in social media. These are fake stories, and they do a lot of harm to specific people. This is a great example on how to show to children that a story that's been made up can really harm somebody, and that inventing stories makes not only it contributes not only to a lot of internet traffic but also pain of specific people. Of course, this is not the young YouTuber who made up this story, but somebody made a joke that is not so smart after all. I was supposed to talk about fake news, but as for young people, I think we should talk to them about not what fake news are, but about what news are. In today's world, young people consume media in a completely different way that most of us here. They look for information in completely different places, and they look for completely different types of information. It's not TV stations, it's more YouTube. In February this year, in the age group 16 to 24, YouTube was much more popular than any other TV channel. In the younger groups, you can notice this increasingly, and not only in Poland. So I think that we need to explain to children why news and why the media are important and how we should make use of them. Let me start with several pieces of advice. When we talk, I say, talk about the media, talk about the news. I'm not a teacher. I've never worked with children. I mainly work with adults. I try to teach them how to recognize fake news. But I must tell you that more and more schools get interested in such training sessions, and more children like to participate in simple courses that I run or then are run by the Demagogue Foundation in Warsaw. So let's show them the media, let's show them TV and the internet. Let's talk to them about it. Let's try to find out together what is happening in the world, showing them different sources that are credible. Let's talk about social media and security online. Today, security online is not only about using Facebook in a safe way, logging on to the internet in a secure way, and securing your mail account, but also avoiding such phenomena as we have just seen. The security of children online is not only physical but also psychical. But talking about the portal, social portals means we need to understand and learn what they really are. Let's not get afraid of Snapchat. Who of you is on Snapchat? Not many people. I don't really like Snapchat. I don't really understand it, but I want to be there in order to understand how young people function. Because despite appearances, Snapchat is not about exchanging information between young people, it's also a source of information. Many media are present there, but let's also talk to young people what Facebook is. Facebook, and they admitted themselves, it's not a conspiracy theory, Facebook shows us information today, information that is adjusted to us, tailor-made for us. They will not show us all the information from the pages we have liked, but only the information they think might interest us. So we live in a certain information bubble. Young people who are using the internet need to understand that when they go on Facebook, they do not see neutral content, but they see something that is tailor-made for them. Let's talk about fake news, but let's talk on the basis of experience, because the fake news slogan is present everywhere today. It's on the internet, it's on TV, it's present in political debates or scientific debates, but it's a notion we don't really understand. When people say fake news, people say, okay, false news during US elections, for example, or French elections. So we bring everything down to political issues. But if we dig deeper in internet, there are more fake news about health, about the future of the world, about the climate. These are the fields where there are lots of fake news. Yesterday, I made a review of different stories popular amongst fake news in different countries. For example, in Turkey, one of the most popular fake news stories is a story about Pepsi that was apparently poisoned by one of its employees with HIV infected blood, and many people start to fall ill after drinking Pepsi. Of course, if you have common sense, you know it's not true, but it continues to live on, and it goes back. Well, it has been going back since 2011 when it first appeared in the US, and it comes back in different variations and on different websites. Sometimes it's just about simple stories. So when talking to children about fake news, we need to talk to them about urban legends, about certain myths that we live. Let's start with a simple one, simple myth that many of us will probably believe in. So many people say that an ostrich puts his head in the sand when he's afraid. But this is a myth. It's not true. They never do that. But everybody has that picture in their minds. So there are stories that we believe in, but when we analyze them, they're not exactly true. Let's try to encourage young people to think critically, and let's reward that. Let me give you an example. I recently encouraged my 9-year-old godson, who used to spend lots of time on the internet. And I saw he was not being very productive. I told him, well, give me the list of 10 most populated cities in the world. And he asked me, how do I do that? And I told him, I don't know. You use the internet. You should find that out. So 10 minutes later, he comes and gives me the list of 10 most populated cities. And I tell him, well, I've got a completely different list. And he asks, and how is that possible? And I ask him, where did you take your list from? Well, I don't know. From the first website that it appeared. He didn't even remember the name of the website. That's what children do on the internet. We just Google something, we open the first link, and well, it was Wikipedia. And then I showed him, when you enter Wikipedia, there are cities that are described as metropolis or as the cities themselves. So Warsaw, not as metropolis, but Warsaw itself. And we started talking about that. So this is one of the ways of teaching children to use internet critically. we should not be afraid of internet. It can be a wonderful friend if we use it wisely. Tablets during the lessons do not have to be an enemy if we use them wisely. Again, so another example, I have not included it in my presentation, but perhaps some of you know the picture. There's a picture of a museum in Paris, a picture by Rembrandt on the wall. Many children sit in front of the picture with smartphones. Many people say, well, this is horrible. The children are looking at their smartphones instead of looking at the beautiful picture. And it's not true, because they were using a special app and checking out additional information. This is how you can play around it. If you're teachers, it's worth teaching children to differentiate between facts and opinions, to do exercises showing what the difference between them is. I think working with children from an early age, you can achieve very good results. Let's also teach children to discover emotional language. When the emotional language is used in the media, we should be very cautious while using these sources. When the media say that there is a bloody civil war, I'm always amazed, because civil wars are always bloody. So we should avoid sources that use lots of adjectives. Let's discover different sources. Apart from Wikipedia, there are also national dictionaries. There is PWN in Poland. There is Encyclopedia Britannica available online. So let's show them good and wonderful various sources. Especially, let's show the children, the younger children, real encyclopedia, hard copies. He received an encyclopedia for his birthday, and he only realized then how many words there were in the world. So he was amazed at that. It's difficult to realize that while you're searching the web. And let's learn by mistakes. Our mistakes and the mistakes committed by the children. Let's discuss them. Let's show the errors committed by public celebrities or the media. This is Margaret Thatcher. I'm showing her because if we're supposed to talk about the errors, this is my error, because I made her die much earlier than she really did. On Twitter, I made her die as early as 2012. And many people pass that information on. Let's not be ashamed of discussing such errors and analyzing them. Talking about children, a few practical tips how to work with them. Teach them that we need to read more than the titles, the headlines, and two first sentences. This is mainly the pain of social portals. What do you do on Facebook? You just scroll down. You don't read. You don't use the internet. You don't. By opening an article, you just go down, down, down. You scroll down. Sometimes you read a title, and then you remember what the title includes. Let's check publication dates. On social portals, it's very often the case that somebody goes back to an old article, posts it, you only read the title, and then you think, well, there was recently such a fake article on Polish Facebook showing that there was a huge plague of mosquitoes. The people who live in Warsaw know that there were not many mosquitoes this year, but those were killer mosquitoes. And it turned out that it was an article dating back to 2012 that had another life. Let's show the children that if a page looks weird, we should approach it with lots of cautiousness. What does it mean weird? Well, everything is written in caps lock on the page, and the ads are such that it makes you want to vomit. Like, for example, how to treat cancer, and then you get photos that make you run away straight ahead. Strange font on the website, and pay attention to the website addresses. Recently, there have been fakes where for example, there was a website similar to CNN or ABC News, but when you look at the address, you see that one letter is slightly different, or the addresses, everything is in Latin, and one letter is from the Turkish alphabet, and it's easy to get cheated that way.
Well, let's teach children that satirical content is not bad. Let's show them to children, but laugh together. Stories like a woman had a 50-kilo baby There are websites with such news, and they're circulating around the internet. This year, someone was sad that Umberto Eco passed away, and that he will not or she will not have an interview with. But Umberto Eco passed away last year. Let's pay attention to addresses. Well, website, well, polls, we're talking to Zbigniew Ziobro, the Minister of Justice. The average Mr. Smith in Poland, Mr. Kowalski, were thanking for accepting them in a list of friends. You look in Facebook, after Facebook.com, there is usually the name of the profile. It was Monika Pytel's profile, so simple fake where we can immediately identify. Let's explain to kids that they should pay attention to that. If a star accepts them on the friend list, the likelihood is very low, so it's worth showing to them, because this way we are giving a lot of information about ourselves to someone we don't know. This Monika Pytel from this example. And this person has access to our social media data. When we look at news and we say something is not credible, this is unbelievable, probably our gut feeling tells us it's not believable, and it's very high probability that it is actually not. Let's trust our instincts, let's look for sources, let's show children. If there is an article about youth, about kids, where there is a doctor speaking, and he has some weird opinions, let's check who this person is. Very often it turns out that Dr. Jan Kowalski is not a physician, he's not a doctor, but he's like alternative medicine practitioner. His patient call him doctor, so he's using the title. Let's watch pictures and videos. There are some pictures, links from other events, movies from other events, and mislead us. Usually this happens with some sudden events, terrorist attempts, earthquakes. Internet is immediately full of videos. You have to be very careful, especially if it's good quality photography, good quality video. There is no way to have such materials in the internet 5 minutes after a terrorist attack. Google reverse search by images.com, and we paste the pictures and we check if this picture was on the web before was used on the web. I will show an example of this fake photograph. Kids should be very careful with text, with emotional language, but let's encourage them to be internet detectives. If a simple task with Wikipedia, prepare something, or often it is worth playing, showing a picture of a city, and they have to guess, they have to find in the internet what city it is. Believe me, kids love this kind of internet detective games. This is one of the articles. I would warn you. The selfie of the 13-year-old looks normal. If you take a closer look, you see something scary. All those adjectives, the clickbait titles, which encourage us to click. I didn't click, and I was right. It's one of the phishing sites that steal your data. There are many of them. You have to be very careful and explain that to kids. An example of a picture that was very touching, described as the girl is running because her whole family got killed. It's not no Hollywood, it's real Syria. Of course, it's a touching picture, we pass it on, but the truth is, it's not Hollywood, but it's not Syria. It's a frame from a video clip. It's the kids of war, but it's not a real girl, it's not a real situation in Syria, it hasn't even been made in Syria. And very often, what is the wrong in it? It shows the terrible situation in Syria, but this way we weaken the belief in other pictures that we get from Syria, for example. There are some descriptions to the pictures. Oh, this is a setup. What's happening in Syria is not true. Because of those pictures, by trusting pictures from other events and situations, we weaken the belief in what is true. When if you don't believe in anything, you can believe in everything. basically. Well, things that we don't like, we have to sensitize kids to that. It's taught in schools, but in talking about internet, it has to be interlined. Is the example of the YouTuber that I showed you at the beginning is a situation where we can harm someone. If the kid was in that situation, it would certainly understand what pain you can cause to yourself and to this boy from the video. Let's leave our bubble. Let's show our kids that we're living in a world that is limited by what the internet is feeding us, all those profiling algorithms. Use different sources. If you're on Snapchat, explain to them that it's sometimes worth to go into a normal portal. If you read something on Facebook, it's worth turning the TV on to see what's really happening in the real world, so to say. Teach people not to pass on things that cause a shade of a doubt. They should broadcast in the internet things they have no doubts about. It is not so that passing a statement by a known celebrity in the internet can cause some damage. But if you send a false text to your friends, it's harm. All the studies show that in the social media, we mostly trust our friends. So we can have the most credible source, and I trust it less than I trust a source sent by my friends. Is this anti-vaccination movement? It's reinforcing its own opinions. They live in their own bubble. There is no room for other visions, other opinions there. I spoke with a colleague, all those groups for anorectic people. If we start exploring them, those girls just reinforce their belief, their opinions. So teaching kids to reach for different sources is important. Let's not be ashamed of mistakes. Remove the mistakes. If we shared something that is not true, let's teach the children that we can make mistakes, and you can eliminate the mistakes you made from the internet. An example, I prepared it in a different way. It's a Polish story, Polish news. It's similar to the story of the guy who was supposed to be in Manchester. A few months ago, a Polish woman died in Egypt. And, well, all Polish people are internet detectives. They have solved the mystery of her death, accusing many people from her close community of assassination. It touched even Artur Włodarski, one of the journalists, same name as the boyfriend of that girl. Everyone started accusing him that he is the father of an assassin. Of course, the boy is not a murderer. No one has demonstrated that to him, and he had to publish a disclaimer asking people to stop linking him to the story he has nothing to do with. Coming back to this boy from the beginning, he had a lot of quotations, and there are some statistics from Twitter. A few hours after this post was published, it turned out that more than 330,000 different accounts on Twitter have seen this post. And the engagement level is 1,800,000. The author of the tweet said he made this fake post to gain popularity in the internet. So you have to show kids that this popularity, even if we want to wind something up, this hits very specific people, very specific stories. That would be it from my side. I would like to encourage you, as I say, talk with kids about the media, the traditional media. Show them what are the news, show them why they should be interested to see what's happening in the world, how is the impact on reality. So the real news should be the key, and the fake news should be a secondary topic in our discussions. The real news from the real world should be in the first place. I used to work in the Google News app team. I'm not recommending it because I work there, but if you look at NewsLab, they have a great website accessible in many languages where you can go to news verification or validation. You will find a variety of tools you can use to learn yourselves how to use the internet in a smart way and then to pass it on to your kids. Thank you very much.
Right, you have to leave early, so if there are any questions for Beata, please feel free to ask them right now. Yes?
I would like to ask about the websites, data phishing. How does it look like? I access the site and it forces me to accept cookies.
Różne metody, bo czasem to
There are different methods. Sometimes these are fake sites, but sometimes they just import cookies and they track us. There are sites that can install some viral software like Kilogears. 20 seconds, we have an application installed, software in our computer that will be scanning our screen every dozen seconds or so and send it to someone's server. So there are different methods. I always say if you see an address and you're not sure, don't go there. Just move it to the web browsers, Google.com, any other web browser. Use this address, look for it in the web and see what happens. This site I showed, when I pasted it, there is no information about this site. White computer. I use a white computer where I'm not afraid to access those sites. The site was gone. So if you doubt the origins of the website, use the browser and check all the information you can find about this website. If you have any questions, my email address was shown on the slides. You can write. I'm always ready to help to answer your questions.
Question? Yes.
one question. In your opinion, what's the main bad impact of sharing of fake news?
The worst impact.
Worst.
To po polsku odpowiem.
Let me answer in Polish. To me, it's the sentence I said when if you don't believe in anything, you believe in everything. You hear a lot about the fake news. There is a lot of fake news in the public space. Then you hear it's fake, and you stop believing in anything else. And there is a much worse phenomenon: manipulation, propaganda, things we cannot get out of, and we start living in a completely different, alternative political reality. As I say, if we live in a reality where we don't believe in climate change, through the fake news we will believe even less. If we don't trust the medical world, with the fake news we can believe in some weirdo alternative treatments. So this is a risk also for kids. They will stop believing in something that is somehow credible, like official data, official reports, what's in the books, and they will start believing in some really manipulated content.
Bruno? And then we'll hand over to the next speaker.
Do you see a role for technology in actually locating fake news? Because all the things that you have mentioned can pretty much be automated and presented as such.
Let me say this. There are several various different initiatives which take into account technological companies or services. Without the help of technology, we will not handle the fake news. We will not be able to cope with the problem. It has to be a huge coalition: media companies, technologies, teachers, and regular users. If only a common effort can help us. But of course, technological companies have to do more. They have to improve their algorithms and protocols. So, for example, you have the elections in the US. The most popular article on Facebook was that the Pope supports Donald Trump. No other article, even from the mainstream media, didn't reach that popularity. These kind of materials have to disappear, and technological companies have to take part of that responsibility. But we are developing artificial intelligence, machine learning. I think the technological changes, the top advanced technologies will help us fighting fake news. But if we don't learn to think critically and to use the media smartly, even artificial intelligence will not be able to help us.